What stuck out about Just Play the most was it's one place for every playbook that you have, and it's your final playbook. I wanted to have that conversation and make sure of it, because as coordinators and going through this and being coaching for 20 years, you make stuff on XOs, or you make stuff on PowerPoint, or you make stuff on Huddle, or you make stuff on these places, and offense had one, defense had one. This wasn't a great special teams feature, and this was the first software program that put it all together. And the next level to that is it made it interactive. And we talked about this a long time ago in the emphases of online playbooks and things like that, of how do you make it interactive with the guys, and how can you get that thing to their fingertips. And everything is done on the phone or a tablet, or it just makes it easy for us to push stuff to them. And Just Play really took the reins on that and made the first ones and the best ones, in my opinion, on the interactive playbook for football. They can use it, right? Like they can actually, it's a physical tool. If you can interact with it, there's a back and forth. So example, with Just Play, the coaches make the playbook, and then you make the install, right? Well, you send that install out, and then the kids can either look at it or see it, and you can see who's on that thing. But then the next facet is the testing tool of you test them, and then they get feedback back and forth. They can also hit us up and send some messages and do those type of things and say, hey, coach, I have a question on this, or this is what it is, and able to interact and do that back and forth with the education system, right? Because as coaches, we're teachers, and if you know what you know as a coach, but your kids don't know that, you're never going to have success. With Just Play, that back and forth is allowed to happen at a pace that is comfortable to the kid. I also believe that it accelerates the learning process, and because it's there, and like you see it all the time. There's guys that are checking that Just Play during camp or during the week 15, 16 times a day. And again, having the conversation of how you integrate it into your program, like they're in the locker room. They could be looking at Twitter before practice or Just Play. And our guys are looking at Just Play, getting the installs ready to go. So when they walk on that field, they're ready to go, and we're wasting a heck of a lot less time with practice. And practice is actually a good practice. It's not a teaching practice, it's a playing practice. As a head coach, you know what's getting installed. You know if the details are been put on paper. You know how it's getting taught. You know what the end goal is. And so when you go to practice and something doesn't go right, you're not necessarily looking at the kid or the coach. You're saying, okay, did we not teach that right, or was that not right, or hey, what's your coaching put in? It's also helps you be the head coach and speak to all the players, because you know if we're installing match quarters or 4 verticals on the other side of the ball, you can go up to them and say, what's your coaching role? This is what it is. And they look at you and say, yeah, that's what's going on. It gives you a tool to obviously be more organized as the head coach. The best thing I like about it, take that out of for practice, is coaches come and go. In my lens, everything is there. And so if a coordinator would leave, a guy that be either promoted from within or hired from without can see what we did. And it's confident in your guys of saying, guys, this is our system, okay? This guy's gonna learn what we do, and this is how we did it, and then they can add those pieces, and it's definitely a living, breathing document. And that's been the kind of a peace of mind, because we've had, in my tenure, a bunch of coaches come and go, and they brought some stuff, and that was really good, and they took it with them, and you don't have it, right? And so selfishly, you want to keep all the good stuff in the program and take all the bad out, right? And within that playbook structure, it definitely helps. It also, I think, gives you a historical perspective of the game of football. Like, this will give you a little bit of a library of saying, okay, we did this in 2022. Now it's 2027. This is how the game has changed. This is what we have to do. This is how we have to adapt, versus just guessing of what we did or missing a piece, right? There's always a few things that you forgot through time if you just kept it in your brain. And so again, the extensive library that is developed on that, I think gives you a peace of mind to know that we can just go back into the vault and let's take this and tweak it and do something else. Let's not have to recreate the whole wheel again. I think the biggest area for us is that it helps in onboarding new coaches, young coaches, and it helps onboarding new players, right? Because the first thing they ask is, Coach, when can I get the playbook? If it's a new coach, hey, what does your playbook look like? And any conversation I've ever had, that's what it is. And then you can, at the click of a fingertip, boom, here it is. And then they can start working on it, right? And that's been the fun part for us, is that we can transition guys faster into college football than we ever have before because of the tool. Everything's gone to the digital age, right? Well, in scouting reports, everybody has their own way to do that. But as we formulate this thing through the week, there's not a lot of time to keep redoing the same things over and over, and just play synchronizes that so you actually will have more time. And that's, I guess, probably the most exciting thing for us going into year 2, is that when we get to scouting reports next year for the same opponent, we have almost everything we need. We just got to update the 2 deep and see what else they've done. And so the work has been done now for us. Now we get to focus on other things like tendencies, breaking certain things down. Maybe it's more recruiting, maybe it's more fundraising, maybe it's more engagement with our players, maybe it's more conversations with everybody, or maybe it's more home life that we get to have, of saying, no, we're done. Like, scouting reports in the bags, we don't have to do anything else. Boom, boom, let's go. We got this thing ready to rock and roll, change this thing, we're done. So that's, I think, one of the coolest things about that feature. And again, been surprised with the scouting reports. Those have been really cool. I think they look cool. They're easy to print off, they're easy to use, and our guys will use them. Sure. We were hesitant, right? Because the world tells you to go to Visio, or the world tells you to go to those other things, because that is what was done in the past. I know it's an investment, but from everything that I've seen, you shouldn't wait. You should make the jump and go to just play, because it's only going to accelerate your processes, and it's only going to make you a better football coach.